Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's Metro Outer Development Assessment Panel meeting. My name is Gene Coltas as presiding member, and I will declare the meeting open at 9:33 a.m. In doing so, I acknowledge we are hosting this meeting on the traditional land of the Whadjuk people of the Rockingham Nation and are joined by people from other lands around the state. We acknowledge the Aboriginal people as traditional custodians of Western Australia, pay respects to elders past and present, and the ongoing connection between people, land, waters and community. This meeting will be run in accordance with DAP Standing Orders 2025 under the Planning and Development Assessment Panels Regulations 2011. The meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the DAP website in accordance with DAP Regulation 42A of the Planning and Development Assessment Panels Regulations 2011. Members are reminded to announce their name and title prior to speaking. Panel members may refer to technical advisors throughout the meeting to assist them in considering the information before them. I'll introduce the members present. As I said, I'm the presiding member, Gene Coltas. Dale Page to my left is Deputy Presiding Member, and Mr. Peter Lee to her left is the Specialist Member today. We're joined today by City of Rockingham Councillors, Councillor Mark Jones and Councillor Dawn Jex, and from the Shire of Mundaring, Councillor Prapti Mehta and Councillor Karen Beale. Item 2 on the agenda is apologies. I have an apology from Deputy Mayor Lorna Buchan from the City of Rockingham. Minutes of previous meetings are available on the DAP website. Part B of the agenda is the City of Rockingham application we're to determine, and as item 1, I will confirm all panel members have duly considered all the documentation contained within Part B of the agenda and Part B related information. And I note that an addendum to the RA was published on the 13th of October 2025. So if members can please indicate by raising their hand that it's unanimous. Thank you. Item 2, disclosures of interests. I'll invite members to disclose any additional declaration of interest if they have any. No. Councillors, was this application considered at a council meeting or briefing?
No, it wasn't. Presiding member.
Okay. Item 3 on the agenda is Form 1 DAP applications. There are none. Item 4 is the Form 2 DAP applications, and we have one for Lot 500 Safety Bay Road, Safety Bay proposed tavern amendment. In accordance with Standing Orders 2025, Clause 4.8.2, we have some applications or presentations, and the first one is from Mr. Paul Spittle, who is online. If you could,
Line at the moment, Jean. Sorry, he's not online at the moment. Did you want to do the next one?
Mr. Chairman, is the link actually working? I've got someone texting me that's trying to get in, not for this item, but for the second item. So I'm just wondering whether the link.
I haven't promoted anyone from the second item.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
having difficulty, are we?
Well, he's not online at the moment. So what we'll do is we'll go to the next one if he comes on.
Yes, because I think he's overseas, isn't he? He said he's on. Yes. Okay, well, if he's not online, we'll go move. We do have a written submission, and he was going to speak to that. So all panel members have a copy of that. So I'll move on to someone from the applicant team. As noon. Mind you have 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Isha Noon and I'm from Planning Solutions, acting on behalf of BD Holdings Proprietary Limited, the proponent of the proposed development. We are pleased to receive the city's RAR and recommendation for unconditional approval of the proposed amendments. I'd first like to thank the city's officers for their thorough consideration, engagement and assessment of our application. To provide some brief context, our client is acquiring the whole of the subdivided lot 500, which contains parcels 3 and 4 of the original development. The proposal is simply to reorient the approved tavern and relocate car parking. Proposed amendments have been carefully designed to ensure the development does not have an adverse impact on the adjoining residential development and the broader community, as demonstrated through the supporting consultant reports addressing waste, noise, and traffic matters. The amendments were also well received during public consultation, with 60% of submissions supporting the proposal. It is noted that many of the submissions in support outline their preference for the amended design, noting its strong interaction with the street and interface with the coast. As set out within the RAR and the development is acceptable from both a planning and technical perspective. The amendments are consistent with the city's local planning framework and supported by the city's officers. We ask the DAP support the application and adopt the recommendation as proposed. The project team comprising Planning Solutions, myself and Ross, our client Arthur Barrett, Matt Nolan from Lloyd George Acoustics, and Shane from Motivo are available online to answer any questions. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Panel members, are there any questions of the presenter? Yes, Councillor Jones.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, in summary, it was uneconomical to do the undercroft parking and sort of 2 stories. So that's why you've reorientated. And plus, sounds like the parking numbers are still the same. So the 48 bays, but the actual reduction in size to the building has gone down by 219 square metres. So support all that. I guess my only question was there's a development site to the north which is showing 348 square metres and 5 car parking bays. And you said that doesn't form part of the development, but I was just wondering, it sort of does, in my view, because it was where the original building was going to go. So does that bit of land just get landscaped for now or left? I can sort of see it being used for overflow car parking if it isn't developed soon or fenced. So do you have any comments on that? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Jones. Our client does not have a tenant or a development in for that further portion of land. So the intention is that at the appropriate time, there'd be a further application to show a development for it. The current point in time, I think it would be left either stabilised so that there's no dust nuisance, possibly mulched.
Okay.
I don't think the intention is to allow overflow car parking on it. It's a future development site, so it's not additional parking per se.
Okay. It's probably not a big one, but just an opportunity to clean it all up at the same time so it's presentable, so it's not just an eyesore in the middle of the site, I guess. So that's my only concern. But okay, thank you for your response. That's all from me, presiding member.
Thank you. Any other panel members have any questions?
Following on from Councillor Jones's question, so what's to stop people moving through the site and parking at that area that's not being developed yet behind the tavern?
Probably the fact that there is car parking bays in front of it for the most part. I suspect people, particularly with large cars, will just mount curbs and go into it. That's something we'd have to manage, and if the situation gets worse, we may need to fence it off for the time being.
And just want to clarify, I've been just trying to find, because I Councillor Jones mentioned about the project, the previous arrangement was unviable in terms of cost. So, I mean, we've had that site there vacant for decade plus. And we always heard as a council that the reason why nothing's happening is because, it's a very expensive undertaking, and obviously with major developments, they've got to be financially viable. And I know that the community are a little bit concerned about, I'll get into that later. So just want to confirm, yes, so that's, I guess, draw that out so that's clear that it's, you guys have had to go to this rearrangement due to the viability, the financial viability. Yeah, thanks.
The basement parking was expensive.
Yeah.
And having only half the site with the coastal frontage was not making the best use of the site.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
It's far more economic.
Thank you. Just wanted to clarify and confirm that. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further questions? If not, we'll move over to the council staff to see if there's any comment on the presentation and follow that up with questions from the panel members. Mr. Ross, do you have any comment to make at this stage?
Yes, thank you, presiding members. With respect to this application, it is an amended design on a 2024 approval that was issued by the JDAP last year. The revised proposal's been comprehensively assessed in terms of traffic impact, car parking, urban design, policy compliance against the city's Waikiki Hotel site urban design guideline policy. We believe this application is consistent with the policy with respect to the desired future character of the area, which includes a licensed premises. This site has historically been a licensed premises as a hotel since the 1960s. The Waikiki Hotel shut down, I think, around 2008 and was demolished in 2009. So it's been a long-standing issue, I guess, when it came to a future development plan for this site. But in recent years, with the current proponent, with the approvals being issued, the development of the site has finally progressed. So the first stage of the development included medical consulting rooms. There was also a restaurant and a child daycare centre to the north of the site. The tavern was proposed as part of that early iteration, but unfortunately, as the applicants indicated, it hasn't proven feasible. So we consider the revised proposal to be a quid pro quo in relation to what was previously approved by the panel in 2024 with respect to the car parking. There was a shortfall in car parking in relation to the tavern. There was a comprehensive parking assessment that was done at the time by the applicant via Transcore with an updated traffic report and parking assessment as part of this proposal. And yes, there is a shortfall, but it's balanced against the shortfall when it is at peak operating times, which is on a Friday evening at 8 o'clock and on a Saturday morning at around 12 o'clock. There is, at those times, there could be a reliance in relation to some of the car parking on the foreshore, which has about 88 car parking bays. There's also been a revised acoustic report that's been submitted, which demonstrates compliance of the proposal with respect to the environmental protection noise regulations. The tavern numbers are unchanged at 1,000, although the final occupancy numbers will come back to what is ultimately approved by health for that building via a separate permit process. And that could alter the numbers, but in reality, it might actually come down, not go up. The hours of operation are still the same as the original approval. And our recommendation is to, at officer level, based on compliance of the scheme, general compliance of the scheme and policy, is to approve the application in accordance with the original conditions. And we're certainly happy to answer any questions that the panel may have.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Panel members, any questions of the staff? Yes, Councillor Jackson.
I've got a couple of questions. So 2 questions. One about I'm thinking of people getting Ubers or having people drop them off and pick them up, etc. Is there an easy in and easy out for someone dropping somebody off or picking someone up via an Uber on the site? And my second question is, so I know it's Saturday 12 o'clock. There'll be beachgoers at the beach car park, and that's another peak time you've identified. So I just wanted to ask about, I know there was previously some talk about, and if you could give me an update on to what happened with the sorting out some sort of pedestrian crossing from the end of the beach car park to the other side of the road. If you could speak to those two, that'd be great, please.
Yeah, perhaps if I could just answer the first question, I'll defer to Chris for the second. There are 11 car parking bays that are shown through on verge parking. So they're directly in front of the development. They would be within the road reserve and more specifically a constructed area for car parking on the verge. That's probably an ideal location if someone is going to be collected from the premises. There are no designated car parking bays for rideshare. All of the parking in front of the development would be public car parking bays and accessible at all times. There are also other locations within the rest of the development and within the easements that actually apply to the balance portion of the development site, which is on a separate lot, but still have accessible car parking. So we don't believe that it will be an issue. But with respect to the pedestrian crossing, Chris?
Yes, thanks, Mike. The pedestrian crossing came out as a requirement of the current development approval. Since that approval was granted, a pedestrian crossing has been designed, approved by the city and Main Roads WA, and is scheduled for construction as a part of the current stage of construction that's being undertaken on the site at the moment. So that'll create a direct, safer pedestrian connection between the foreshore and the Tappan site.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Yes, Councillor Jones.
Yeah, just following from Mr. Spittle's sort of deputation notes, he was really concerned about the numbers of people stacking up, and you're mentioning so under the Health Act, when a public building is, so when the building's finished, is that when assessment's made and the number of people is determined? Like, because it does seem like a long stretch that will be 1,000 people be able to accommodate when the floor area has been reduced. Is that? Can you clarify that again?
Yeah, the application and assessments of under the public building regulations is generally done at the building permit stage. So when finalised plans are sent through, that's when we will have a good look and assess the preliminary numbers under the public building regulations. The final numbers will then be issued upon construction, and that's when certification is granted, and that's when the final calculation is given and done.
Okay, thank you for that. And just my second question, presiding member, about that development site to the north. Do you have any comments on that? Just whether it should be left at a certain standard, or you're happy just for the applicant owner to manage that?
Yeah, thank you. As it's a future development site, it's not included in this stage of the development. I think at the very minimum, we would agree with the applicant that it should be mulched or grassed or something similar. So to do anything more substantial might be overkill, given the fact that it could be developed at a future.
Sure.
We certainly pick that up as part of perhaps the landscaping package that comes in to make sure it's not a dust nuisance or unsightly.
Great. No, that's great. Thank you very much. That's all from me, presiding member.
Thank you. Is there a wording on the previous approval that could suffice in terms of stabilisation of some sort on that future development site?
Presiding member, I've got the condition in front of me. It is fairly broad, but given the fact that the applicant seems to be amenable to including it within the landscaping plan, we're not proposing any change to that at this stage, unless you consider it to be prudent.
Okay, we'll consider that during our discussion. Thank you. Any further questions of the Proposed for the applicants? Okay, if not, then we'll move on to the next phase of the meeting, and that is to consider the application and have a debate on it. In order to do so, we'll require a mover and seconder. Do I have a mover for the responsible authority report? Councillor Jones. Do I have a seconder? Al Page. Thank you, Member Page. Councillor Jones, if you want to speak to the item, please.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, again, thank you, the applicant and city staff for presenting the report. Yeah, for me, I support the application. Say it's probably an improve to the design to create a better street presence and also views for the patrons of the facility. I think the staff's mentioned, this site has had a long history of being a tavern site, and it was a requirement of the city that a tavern actually go into the site. So things like traffic and noise are obviously their main concerns, and I acknowledge the 86 public submissions. Thanks to all the community for that. Yeah, with that 32 support, 20 objections and 14 other submissions. So yeah, but we're really only looking at the redesign, not the whole use and broader. But I acknowledge the applicant has still updated the traffic and the noise assessment for that, which seems manageable. So yeah, in all, as I say, I think the community is very keen for this development to happen, and the car parking seems the same numbers, even though it's in a different configuration. I understand, for economic reasons, the redesign without the understory car parking is necessary. So in all, I support the application with the same conditions as previous. So thank you.
Thank you. Member Page, a second, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, presiding member. Although the application proposes changes to site layout and parking configuration, I'm satisfied that the changes still fall within the scope of a Form 2 application. The nature and intensity of use is unchanged, as is the impact it will have in terms of traffic and parking. And although I acknowledge the concerns raised by Mr. Spittle in his submission to us, I'm comfortable that the amended acoustic report and the responsible authority report demonstrates that even with the amended layout, parking layout, noise will still fall within the tolerable thresholds in the noise regulations. I think in terms of design, the design is an improvement, with the tavern facing the foreshore, and the original design cues have been retained in the development. There is one small section of retaining that doesn't meet the deemed to comply standards of the codes, but the impact of this is negligible, and the city's RA actually did a very thorough assessment process of this particular design element, which demonstrates that it still achieves the relevant design principle of the codes. I'm comfortable that the amended proposal still addresses the matters to be considered under clause 67 of the planning regulations, the city's planning scheme, and the relevant policies and requirements of the codes. There were a few objections received to the amendment, but I'm satisfied that these either relate to matters that were covered off in the original approval, or are not the subject of this Form 2 and or have been appropriately addressed in the city's report. So happy to support them.
Thank you. Any other panel member that wish to speak for or against the? Yes, Mr. Lee.
Yeah, I'm very supportive of this. In terms of design, it's a much more sensible use of the site. It'll be a much better outcome for people using the building, and it's certainly a lot better looking as a building. So I think it's a big improvement for me.
Thank you. Councillor Jicks.
Yeah, I concur with all of the previous comments, but I do want to acknowledge there were some concerns raised by people around noise, parking, other matters, people who live close by. But given that the site has been in a demolished state, it was cleared nearly 2 decades ago, and with the market, the heated construction market, we have to be mindful of the fact that something has to be financially viable. And whilst acknowledging concerns of the people who opposed it, on balance, I think it's important that we support this development. I'm in support. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm too supportive of the application. I think all the issues that are been identified as likely to have amenity impacts have been covered and shown that they'll be minimal. In terms of the issue of the future development site, it's still part of the current site, and the landscaping condition does allow for any lawns to be established and areas to be mulched to be shown on the landscaping plan. So I would urge the applicants and the council to make sure that the area is stabilised by some proper means, and if need be, some temporary fencing put around it. In terms of the form of development, it's a far better result, and I concur with the previous speaker, so I'm supporting it. That being the case, I'll go back to Councillor Jones as mover to...
Yeah, nothing to add. I think it's all been said. Thank you, presiding member and other members.
To a vote, all those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much for the minutes. 5, section 31. And we'll move over to the so thank you, presenters, council staff, Councillor Jones and Jix, thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Sorry.
The next part of the agenda, which is Part C, Shire of Mundaring, and we'll welcome Councillor Mehta and Councillor Beale. Thank you. And in doing so, I'll confirm that all members have duly considered all of the documentation contained within Part C of the agenda and Part C related information by raising your hand, please. That is unanimous. Item 2 on the agenda is disclosures of interest. Councillor Luke Ellery disclosed an impartiality interest. He has a family member who's a resident of the proposed aged care facility, and it was felt that that was close to the kinship, so his attendance at the meeting was not approved. Members, do you have any other declaration of interest to make at this point?
No.
If not, was this item considered at a briefing or council meeting at all? No, thank you. All right, well, we'll now move into the application for the aged care facility building, Rockingham Avenue, Greenmount. We do have two presenters listed on the agenda, and we've had a late request to present from a Mr. George Fuchs Taylor, and I have agreed to allow him to make a 3-minute presentation online, I think it is. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
It's online, yes.
And Mr. Brian
Newman, N-E-W-M-A-N.
Newman, Brian Newman, presented to the meeting, and requested, attended the meeting and requested a presentation. I'm not sure whether it's for or against Mr. Newman.
Definitely against.
Against. Normally these presentations have to be requested 72 hours prior to the meeting, but seeing as you've made the effort to come here, we don't have a long list of them. I will allow you to make a 3-minute presentation. Whether we can give due consideration to it because we don't see anything from that, we will take that into account individually during the meeting. Thank you. Just wait till I call you, please. First presenter is Mr. Gary White, speaking against the application. Mr. White, would you like to take a seat? We do have a copy of your presentation. I remind you that it is a 3-minute time slot that you have. Proceed.
My first item is, I believe there's an error in the traffic impact statement that was presented by the Shire for Wortley Road Greenmount. I feel the impact statement is fundamentally flawed. They say there's less than 10 vehicle movements per hour. There are 39 staff on site. So if 10 staff change shifts at one time, there's 20 movements alone without anything else to start. So during construction, when doing a concrete pour on a building size this size, which will occur on many occasions throughout the construction period, there'll be 50 cubic metres or more of concrete in one pour. This will need 8 to 10 agitator trucks, a concrete pump, and at least 4 tradesmen's vehicles, plus the other trades workers, all moving in and out at the same time. This equates to up to about 40 vehicle movements in one session. At other times, there'll be other delivery trucks, bricks, steel, etc. All these trucks are semi-trailers or rigid trucks with a dog trailer behind them. They all do this because that's how they do it. They don't have small trucks doing these deliveries. At the entrance to Wortley Road from Shiraz Street, trucks have to cross to the wrong side of the road to navigate the corner, the left-hand turn. This is the same at the right-hand bend, 30 metres up the road. There's a right-hand bend. At certain points in the turn, visibility of the oncoming traffic is completely obstructed. I used to have a truck, so I know this for a fact. Please find photos of Wortley Road attached. And I can also say that during the demolition stage of the project, it'll be the same with the vehicle movements. There'll be semi-trailers with getting rubble and concrete in the out. There'll be diggers coming in, which will be oversized coming up the road. There'll be no room for anybody to do anything. So next one, my other point is, why was Shiraz Street not considered in the proponents? Sorry, why was Shiraz Street not considered? In the proponent's last proposal for development of 22 Coongin Avenue, Shiraz Street was going to be the entrance. Due to how straight and wide Shiraz Street is, this would be a much better option for construction traffic and avoid any other issues. Okay.
You have another minute or so.
Okay, right. Destruction of native tree habitat. Part B, item 3.1, page 9. No habitat trees are proposed to be removed as part of this proposal. Please find attached photo of native white gum on the proposed site, which will be over 100 years old. It's a natural resting place for pink and grey galahs, and this would have to be removed for the proposed development, which is not specifically mentioned as one of the protected trees. We also regularly see endangered black cockatoos in this tree. I think that's about it.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Panel members, are there any questions of Mr. White?
Have you got the photos of the tree and everything?
We have everything that you sent through. Thank you very much.
And so you know that tree is on the site where the building's going to go, and they've said that no native trees will be removed.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions of Mr. White? No? Okay, thank you, Mr. White. Mr. George, hello.
The lady. Good morning. I'm non-binary.
Sorry. Okay.
Someone said it's a lady, but yeah, it's fine. Good. Are we ready to go?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Good morning to the panel. Thank you very much for your time at the last minute. While my neighbours and I understand the need for improved facilities for an ageing population, the proponent has not provided adequate assessment of noise or traffic impacts during construction, nor proposed any mitigation measures to protect nearby residents. As registered respite and emergency foster carers, my husband and I regularly care for children in the care of the CEO of the Department of Communities who have experienced significant trauma. Many of these children are highly sensitive to loud or sudden noises, particularly those from heavy machinery or construction activity. Sudden noises can trigger a trauma response, putting a child right back into the centre of a moment of danger that they have previously experienced. It can take several hours for a child to re-regulate after a trigger. When this happens, our role is to stay calm and supportive while the child processes that fear. Re-regulating a dysregulated child takes extraordinary patience, persistence, and reassurance. Being hit, bitten, or punched are sometimes part of that process, and our job in those moments, no matter how much our own fears or safety is triggered, is to stay calm so that the child learns that there are safe adults and safe spaces in the world. These moments are incredibly emotionally taxing for us, but they're a crucial part of helping these children heal. We work very hard to keep our home calm, quiet, and warm. However, with heavy machinery operating only 20 metres down the road from us, we will be unable to control the noise environment. These triggers will occur much more frequently, and the children in our care will experience unnecessary and repeated distress. Construction is a 20-month period, so almost 2 years we'll be having to deal with this. The development application does not include an acoustic assessment or any mitigations beyond legislated standard noise standards. Given the vulnerability of the children in our care and the site's proximity to neighbours, this lackadaisical approach presents a serious welfare concern for children in the care of the CEO. We request that the panel require by set conditions that the proponent undertakes a detailed construction noise impact assessment, detail clear mitigation measures such as limiting construction to standard business hours, installing acoustic barriers, and providing advance notice of high noise activities or periods, and work with nearby residents to provide double glazing on windows ahead of the construction period or similar measures, as well as establishing a direct communication channel between construction staff and nearby residents so that exceedances can be reported directly and addressed promptly. To be clear, local residents, including our family, do not support this proposal at all. the proposed conditions that I've outlined would only be making this proposal mostly tolerable, and we can see those conditions as bare minimum requirements. I appreciate the panel's consideration.
Thank you very much. Any questions of the presenter?
Yes, please.
Yes, Councillor Mehta.
Thank you, George, for your submission. Just need to understand the children in your care. You mentioned that they would be frightened by noises. Are these children with special needs who can be supported through a process such as this? And what steps would you likely take to give them that support if this development is approved?
Thank you. So the sorts of kids that we don't look after don't necessarily have any special needs in terms of disability access. So children in the care of the CEO are one of 5 categories of levels of needs. They're called a NAT score, and we're approved to look after kids up to a NAT level 5, which is the highest classification of requirements. So as I said, it's the sudden impact of noises that can really trigger children. We've had many children in our care that are very frightened of sudden machinery starting up or sudden noises based on their trauma experiences and their history. The things that we do already to look after kids in our care and reduce noise impact is keep our home nice and quiet, make sure that we don't move suddenly around certain kids depending on their needs. And we do experience some noise impact currently from air traffic, but because the noise comes up, approaches so gradually and fades away so gradually, it doesn't seem to impact kids in the way that someone starting up a piece of machinery outside your window would impact. So the things that we can do is reduce the noise that's happening around us, and then the sorts of things that we need to do when we regulate a child, which, as I said, we've had kids with trigger episodes of up to like 3 hours, where we're sitting with them in our lounge room, providing a safe space, reassuring them that they're safe, talking them through the whole process, soft lighting, soft music, reducing stimulants around them, holding kids that want to be held, or standing there with like open, loving arms, so that they can come to us if they need to. And this is, as I said, sometimes we're dealing with kids that are, we've been hidden, spat on, swore on and everything. And so whatever's going on for you personally as a carer, when you feel like you want to protect yourself, is put to the side, because the kid needs to know that you're going to continue to be safe. So we experience this anyway. And what we're worried about with the construction period specifically of this proposal is that there's going to be so much sudden impact noises happening that it's going to be happening much more often. And it's the reason that we bought in this street. When the opportunity came up for us to buy a house, we came to this suburb and we came to this house because it's a really nice, quiet street. We've got a big buffer period behind us to buffer from the Great Eastern Highway. We've got lots of long-term residents in the street. There's no big party houses in the street. We've got elderly neighbours on many sides of us. We chose this location because it's nice and quiet, and we're now looking at a 20-month period of something that's completely out of our control, with no proposed mitigation measures for the construction period. The acoustic assessment that the proponent provided is all to do with the residents that will eventually be in the facility and the noise protection that they will have from Great Eastern Highway. So there's things in the proposal about how they're going to construct the wall that's closest to Great Eastern Highway so that the residents won't experience traffic noise. That's fine. If the whole proposal could just exist and be put on the site, it would be kind of fine, besides the removal of that beautiful white gum tree. But it's the construction period specifically, which we're really concerned about, which the proponent doesn't seem very concerned about, or at least hasn't outlined to nearby residents what their planned mitigation is of construction noise outside of legislative requirements.
Thank you. Any further questions? Yes, Member Page.
Thanks, George, and thanks for your clarification. I guess from the perspective of development, construction is unavoidable, and it's rather, instead of not allowing that to happen, it's more about managing it. And I will be putting this question to both the applicant and to the Shire as well. But there is a condition number 4 that requires a construction management plan to be submitted and approved by the Shire. And one of the issues that needs to be taken into account in developing that plan is minimise nuisance to neighbours, including dust, noise, waste, and so on. So noise is certainly a factor that gets taken into account. Would you be comfortable that condition will cover the issue of construction management? And I'll raise with the Shire and the applicant whether or not they can take special care or special consideration of your circumstances in addressing that noise issue. Would you be comfortable that condition already exists and does cover it?
I appreciate that question, thank you. And I suppose, look, I'm really looking forward to reading that construction management plan as well. But it's the lack of forthrightness that the proponent has provided, which is concerning to me. We've seen it as well in the traffic statement, which explained that, you know, the concern for me is yes, I'm sure that will detail mitigation measures, and I'm looking forward to reading that. But I don't have confidence in that process because of the way that the proponent has written the proposal from the outset. So the statement is saying about the capacity of Wortley Road being 3,000 vehicles per hour, and all of the consultant that's made that traffic impact statement has taken screenshots of Google Street View of Wortley Street, which implies to me that they haven't been to Wortley Road and seen those corners and tried to drive up and down it. All of the people that live on that street would hardly crack 30 k's an hour, because we all know, because we live there, about the risks of those corners. We know that there's lots of kids on that road that live there that walk to and from school. So at certain times of our day, we take particular caution with that. And there's been plenty of near misses as well. But because we're all driving 30 k's an hour and we don't have any other external traffic because it's currently a dead-end cul-de-sac street, we don't really ever get outside traffic. All of this construction team, the staff that will be using that road for periods at a time, the construction team don't know that road well. They aren't familiar with that road. There'll be tradies coming in that have never been on that road before, and will be going 50 k's an hour, which is the speed limit of that road, without consideration of how tight those corners really are. If there's a truck coming the other way, there certainly will be an impact. So it's the forthrightness of the proponent and this really lackadaisical approach, which implies to me, they've looked at a map on a bird's eye view and seen, oh great, this is a road, we can just cut through this dead end street and we'll enter from this way. And what we, the residents of that street, are saying is that it's not an appropriate choice. And we'd like the construction traffic to be moved to a different street, which is much more appropriate, which doesn't have kids walking up and down it, which doesn't have tight bends to navigate. The consideration of the reality of that actual street is really important. And so whilst I understand, and I read the condition about the requirement and condition to make a construction management report, I don't have a lot of faith in that process, because we've seen already that the approach from the proponents is that they want to build this facility and it looks like it's going to be great, but they've got all the plans in place. They've paid
Can I keep you shortly, because we will go through this and debate it a bit more. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry, thanks for cutting me off.
Okay. Which other street were you proposing or thinking the traffic should go through? Is there objections to any street?
No, it's not to any street. We just think that Wortley Road's a particularly bad choice. So Shiraz Street, so before you turn off onto Wortley Road, Shiraz Street is completely dead straight and nice and long and goes to the front door of the proposed site as well. So
there was objections lodged that people didn't want to see traffic down Shiraz Street. So somewhere along the way here, look, we'll discuss it further, George. Thank you. I just wanted to query that with you. Any other questions? No, thank you for your presentation. I have Mr. Brian Newman speaking against the application. Mr. Newman, would you give us your 3 minutes, please?
Thank you, sir. thank the panel for allowing me to
take a seat.
Thank you, sir. And the opportunity to speak. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Although I haven't followed the procedure. Thank you again. Look, I totally concur with both the presenters. I've lived on the street. May I stand if you don't mind? I feel more comfortable.
And if you could just speak up a little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry, which street do you?
I live at 14.
Take a seat.
I live at 14 Wortley Road, Greenmount. Yeah. Look, I'm not against it. Excuse me if I'm having. So I live at 14 Wortley Road, Greenmount. I totally concur with both George. Sorry, with George and Gary. No, I've lived on the street for 47 years. And George is correct by saying what she said. Gary is correct by saying what he said. Now, I've been a friend of Stewart Reserve. I've planted for the past 25 years or so. And I've planted many trees on all sides of that reserve. Now, the area is well known, I think all of us. It's a quiet street and we don't have trucks or anything of that nature. And Gary, being a truck driver himself, has to traverse that particular area that he spoke about. And it is very dangerous. And the traffic impact statement has not addressed any blind spots. And there's a blind spot, and there's only about a 20-meter straight. When you come off Shire Street onto Wortley Road, and then you have to take virtually a 90-degree turn, and it's a blind spot. That's dangerous, and people use the street because there's no paving. There's nowhere to walk other than on the road. I have to be careful in the 47 years that I'm keeping left when I'm driving around that corner, because people will not keep to the side of the road that they're supposed to. It's a human reaction. And trucks cannot, 90-meter trucks cannot take that curve without going onto the verge. Now that's the most dangerous part, and that road is curved. Now, Shire Street is a straight road. It was used previously. I'm not sure why it hasn't been considered. Now, there is another proposal. There is a right lane to turn into 22 Coogan Avenue on Great Eastern Highway. There is a lane there to turn right. That hasn't been addressed on Great Eastern Highway. So it can satisfy the people on Shire Street, Wortley Road, Coogan Avenue, if that was used. It hasn't been considered by the traffic impact. Why? I don't know. Now that's the thing that would satisfy, I think, all the residents in the area. I'm sorry, there's nothing can be done about. I'm sure you'll find a way of reducing the noise. But that's the part that hasn't been addressed. And Shire Street would have been another obvious decision for the traffic impact statement to address. It's a straight road used previously, opened previously, and hasn't been used. It can be used here, but Great Eastern Highway would obviously satisfy all the residents in the area, because it's got a right lane to turn right. Now, I'm
Newman, your time is up now, please. I think that we've given you a good opportunity to state your case.
Sir, if I may ask, I couldn't find the attachment. I did provide a submission.
I don't recall having seen one. Did you email that through?
I did email that through to the Shire.
You've got to send it through to the Shire. They may have told you to send it through. You mean during the application stage?
Application stage, yeah.
Yes, no, this is specifically for this meeting. You have to make a separate application to this meeting. but the submissions that were made have been summarised. So we're aware of the issues you've raised through the summary that we got from the council during the assessment of the application. So yes, we do have all of those issues listed.
And there's no way I can present you with my submissions that I presented to the Shire?
I've taken the liberty of extending an invitation to make a submission. You made your presentation. I'll ask any members if they've got any questions of you, and then we'll have to move on. I'm sorry. Okay, that being the case, do any of the panel members have a question of Mr. Newman? Yes, Councillor.
When you talked about the turn off Great Eastern Highway, are you talking going into Scott Street and then into Coonan Ave, not straight off?
No, I'm sorry, I beg your pardon. No, I'm talking about what you have is Great Eastern Highway, and at that point, I don't know whether you've had the Undercliff Nursing Home.
Yep.
There is a driveway wide enough for trucks within the premises, and there's a right-hand lane where trucks can go into on Great Eastern Highway and turn into that driveway.
Directly into the driveway next to where the little shop used to be.
Yeah, where the shop used to be. Now, there is obviously a fenced off area, and there was a gate being put up there. It's obviously not. There is a pedestrian gate there still, where you can have access from the Great Eastern Highway to walk down. Yeah, nursing home.
I just wanted to check whether you meant going into Scott Street or going into the directly into. Okay, thank you.
No, but there is direct access to the nursing home.
Okay, does anyone else have a question of Mr. Newman? Mr. Newman, are you aware there's a truck arrestor bed just down the road from there?
I am, sir.
And Main Roads have objected to any access into this site, either temporary or permanent, because of the arrestor bed, and also I think there's a bus stop there that you may be looking at. But suffice to say, Main Roads have objected to any access off of Great Eastern Highway.
So if access is denied, then why can't exit be accepted? They can exit.
Well, I'm just making a comment. Are you aware of that?
No, sir, I wasn't.
Okay. All right. Well, we've listened to that. Any other questions of Mr. Newman?
So
Thank you, Mr. Newman.
Let me make myself a little bit clearer.
No, I'll have to stop you now because I've been a bit lenient in allowing you to.
Certainly, thank you for that.
Okay. All right. I'm pretty sure we've got the gist of what you're saying. Thank you, Mr. Newman. Okay. We have the council staff available to comment. Oh, sorry, Mr. Reid. I'm sure you want to speak to us, address some of the issues that perhaps have been raised. We have a copy of your submission, so please proceed.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Presiding Member. I might still go through my 3-minute deputation and then with the panel's discretion try and answer.
We will ask you some questions.
I'm sure you will. Thank you. So in terms of planning merit, the subject lands in a special use zone that's specifically earmarked for aged care, and we're proposing a very highly controlled aged care facility. And it's just important by way of background for the panel. So just to go through a bit of the history of the site. So the redevelopment of the northeast portion of the site was originally proposed in 2012 by the former management. So that proposal was to demolish the original 1980 development and rebuild a new 3-storey facility. But the implementation of that meant that the existing residents would have to be decanted and then put back. And it also meant the removal of the kitchen and laundry facilities, which actually services the rest of the development on site. So that bit was never proceeded with. Regis just kept the application alive. So then Regis also were granted approval in July 2016 for a 3-storey, 150-bed facility with access solely from Shiraz Street on the same site that the current application is proposed. And that was approved and kept alive in 2022. But again, was never proceeded with. So Regis has now done a complete review on the site and decided to retain the newer facility, which is in the southwest corner of the site, that was extended and completed in 2013, and then incorporate the heritage building of Undercliff House is the centrepiece of the development, and then build a new 47-bed facility with kitchen and laundry facilities, which is the application that you have before you today. So once this is complete, the residents in the old 1980 wing, where there are shared bedrooms and bathrooms, they can be fully relocated into the new facility, and then demolition of that facility, the old facility, can occur. So when it all ends up, you'll end up with a circa 130-bed facility, which is what most of these aged care facilities are like, and all access for staff and visitors will all be from Coombe Avenue. So in terms of the planning merits of the proposal, I'm pretty comfortable that they're covered off and the panel's aware of those. There are 2 conditions, and then as a result of the submission, there's probably 3 conditions that we would like to talk about. So the first is condition 7 regarding stormwater. We'd just like the word on site taken out. There's an existing overland flow path which goes to the southwest of the site, and just with the ground conditions, that's going to need to be maintained. We're happy with the rest of the condition. We'll work with the Shire to deal with some detention and treatment on site as much as possible, but there still will need to be some overflow that goes down that area. The second is condition 12 regarding access to the rear portion of the site. Once it's all complete, we'll just need some flexibility to obviously maintain the rear of that site. So we just wanted to add the words at the end of that, unless otherwise agreed in writing with the Shire. And we're also happy to accept an advice note to basically say it's just basically for maintenance and upkeep purposes, because we will need to get access to that rear portion of the site. In the longer term, we have done a concept plan for the rear of that site. It is likely to be just for a 15 to 20 lot residential subdivision, but that's not part of this application. That hasn't been resolved as yet, but it's basically just a minor extension to the existing subdivision that's up there. And we think that's the likely development of that site, but there's still a whole process to go through for that. So given the planning merits, we're fairly comfortable. Would, with the panel's discretion, like to try and address some of the issues raised by the Walkley Road residents. Firstly, there's the tree. There's a eucalyptus tree that you can see at the end of Walkley. We're happy to accept a rewording of condition 1, which is talking about there's 3 trees on site. The heritage trees, with the primary trees that we need to save, the Moreton Bay, the cypress, and the Norfolk. That
your time's up.
Yeah, can I?
We will just quickly finish.
Pressure was on. Thank you.
We will query you on trees. We'll query you on access. So at this stage, I'll ask panel members if they have any questions. Yes, Councillor Mehta.
Thank you. I do have a few questions, primarily to do with the construction management plan, I think, or that's called. In terms of the noise impacts, now I am concerned, having heard one of the deputations about the impact on young children. Is there the ability to provide advance notice of high noise as part of that construction management plan? That's one part. And the second part to that is, how are you going to manage those noise impacts, not just on the surrounding residents, but also on the aged care residents during that construction phase? And there are other questions I would like to follow up with that, please, if that's okay. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, through you, presiding member. Yep, so construction management plan, look, Regis have been on that site for 20, 30 years. They're not looking at selling their site. Being part of the neighbourhood is part of what they have to do. They do have existing aged care residents on site. The construction access is all to be from Coombe Avenue as much as possible. Like, there's a staging plan that we've worked through with the Shire, whereby we can build most of the facility from Coombe Road. It's only when it starts to join up to Undercliff House in the middle that the central road comes out. So staff and visitors can still use Coombe Avenue and construction traffic from Coombe Avenue until such time as that central road goes. There's then the interim period between when that basement is, or the basement of the undercroft is complete, where they will need to get staff access from Wortley Road. There's an existing car park that's got most of the visitor car parking from Coombe that can be made into the visitor car park. And then construction traffic can still occur for the bulk of that site and then can still occur for that portion in the middle as much as possible. Once that link is done, however, there will need to be an interim period where they need to demolish once the whole facility is built. And need to demolish that rear portion where access would have to be via walk. At the end of the day, for the completed facility, all access is from existing access from Coongan Avenue, and traffic should be pretty much the same. We're about a bed difference to what we've got now. So ultimately, it's fine. It is the construction traffic. We are more than happy to work as part of the construction management plan to work with existing residents. I can't do much about traffic noise. At least it's a smaller facility and a shorter build than a 150 bed facility, but the communication is the critical thing that we can do. We can let them know timeframes as much as possible of what's happening on certain days, especially to George. She's got my full sympathy. We can try and do that as much as we possibly can, but inevitably there's construction noise. We can't avoid that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, because I was going to ask you whether as part of that process you would be does that include the ability for residents to provide complaints and for you to then address those complaints and work with them?
Yeah, that's a critical part, and I'm sure the Shire's going to need me to hold on that as well.
Thank you. That's all.
Just to follow up on that issue. So understand that construction management plans are usually developed outside of the planning process. They develop usually once a contractor's been appointed. So they do come later. And so the details of how those issues are going to be managed will be dealt with later. But given the issues raised by the residents and in consideration of all residents, but particularly in consideration of George and their family's circumstances, is it possible for special briefings of that contractor to highlight those issues as more than just the norm when they're dealing with this construction management plan? And I'm sure the Shire will pick up on that, and I'll have the same question for them. So taking into account those specific circumstances, can those be raised specifically with the contractor once they're appointed?
I'm sure they can. I have actually got Mr. Daniel Flanders, I think he's online from Regis, who can confirm if you'd like, but I'm no doubt that they would do that. I don't see why they wouldn't. Happy to have it facilitated by the Shire.
It would be good, I think, if Mr. Flanders can.
Is Mr. Flanders?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah, thanks, Daniel.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, I'm more than happy to comment on that. As part of, I guess, our usual process as well, we do look at potential ECI, early contractor involvement methods. So that's something we'll definitely highlight early and can come to a conclusion there.
Do you have any questions of Mr. Flanders, anyone? No, thank you for your comment there. Any further questions of Mr. Reid? Councillor Mehta, have you finished your questions at the moment?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, councillors.
Thank you for coming in. This may be out of scope, this question, but was there any consideration to keep the existing and add up, considering the severe lack of beds we have in Western Australia and particularly in the Hills region, to keep at maybe a lower cost offering than to demolish the existing building?
Mr. Flanders, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely considerations always of extensive refurb. Extensive refurbs are part of the Regis pipeline and national growth at the moment. I think the biggest thing is demand in the area and also operational. So right now, the operational team is really tailored to this amount of residents. And that's why we're seeing this also flow of keeping it a more compact residential aged care than going to all the separate corridors of the parcel. We just feel like this is the best outcome. That's not closing it off down the future. Just for right now, this operationally, as I guess a national demand, we feel this is the most comfortable approach.
to talk about going further down the future, but if you're going to knock it down, how can you go further down the future if you're going to knock it down? That was my understanding, that they were going to demolish
They're demolishing the existing facility in the northwest corner and replacing it with this application that's before you. That's right. So basically we get an extra bed, but it's also the facility at the back it's just shared rooms. It's 2 and 3 people to a room. It's not up to current standards of code. So we need the idea is to provide a higher quality of care in the new facility rather than do both.
Is that prescribed by current funding requirements from the Commonwealth and so forth, that you provide a different standard to what was perhaps acceptable in the 1960s?
Mr. Flanders, can you help me with that one?
Yeah, I think there's definitely pressures from a business perspective and a government perspective.
Mr. Lee.
Just a bit of clarity. On one of the drawings, it says a 2-storey building having 96 units in it. I think it's on page 54. So, but you're after 47. So you were thinking about 2 stories.
So the existing facility that's being retained has still got that amount of bed. That is 2 stories. So that facility was about 2013. They extended a wing around that. So that facility is being retained, and then plus they're adding the 47 on site. So that there's only one component, which is a really old component that was built at the back, that's being demolished. The rest of it at the front's being retained, and that's the 2-story component.
Further questions, Member Page?
Yeah, so just as a follow-up, that doesn't mean that the corner where the building is being demolished now, talking about the future need, that could be developed sometime in the future, couldn't it?
It could, that's correct.
So if there was a need in the future, that could be developed. Could I just pick up on the tree issue, please? You ran out of time talking about the tree issue, and you were foreshadowing that potentially a tweak could be made to condition 9 to deal with that. Could you clarify what you're intending?
There is one tree that's visible. I'm pretty sure it's a eucalypt tree, but I'm sure the residents will let me know. But it's the end of Wortley that you can actually see that. We're happy to accept a condition to add that tree being preserved. It's outside the development site. We don't need to take that tree down. So it can easily be saved. So we can just add words to the end of condition 9.
That tree's right in the part of the building.
There's 3 trees, sorry.
Can you clarify the trees and whether they are?
There's 3 trees on that side. There's one that's visible straight from Wortley Road, and then there's 2 below that to the south. The 2 below that have to be removed. They're right in the middle of the building. There's one that's visible that's straight on before you get to the Moreton Bay behind, that is actually can be protected. That doesn't have to be removed. Understanding was that was the tree main concern. So that tree can be saved. We can add to condition 9 to protect that tree as well.
Is that the one that Mr. White has identified in the photo?
I haven't seen the photo,
so can I just
excuse me, so we can't allow debate and discussion.
I haven't seen the photo, but there is a tree that is visible from right at the end of Wortley Road straight ahead. It's a eucalypt tree. We can save that one.
So can I clarify? Is that not actually part of the development site? So it's actually
part of the same land parcel, but our development doesn't encroach over that tree. So that tree doesn't have to be removed.
Okay. So condition 9 currently says all significant trees shown on the site plan shall be retained.
So there's 3 trees on the site plan to be retained, which is the Moreton Bay fig, the American cypress, and the Norfolk. This is another one in addition to that. So I was just going to say, and the eucalypt tree nearest Wortley Road shall also be retained.
So if that condition was to say all significant trees shown on the site plan shall be retained, including the significant eucalypt tree.
Nearest the end of Wortley Road.
Nearest the end of
Wortley Road. Wortley, W-O-R-T-L-E-Y.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that, but it is not the intent to touch that tree.
No, we don't have to touch that tree.
Thank you for that. I have another question. So condition 3 relates to public art, and it appears from the report that you intend to include public art on site. rather than making a contribution. Is that correct?
Be correct, yes. I think I fully resolved it, but at this point, I'd like to do the public art.
Okay, what, in the conditions say that access is only from Waterloo, why? No, I mean, I'm talking about construction temporary traffic.
I think the conditions are from.
What do you say about access from Shiraz Street?
Shiraz Street, at the moment, it just terminates, and then there's a bit of a level change, and there's trees at the end of Shiraz Street. Shiraz Street was one of the main objections I got last time as part of the 150 facility. So we would prefer not to have access from Shiraz Street, because in the long term, once it's all built, we don't need access from Shiraz Street. Access from Worley, access is from Coongan. So we don't need access from there in the long term. It'll be taking it down to facilitate, removing the tree, changing all the access to facilitate construction only. So we don't require that when there's access at the back. I do understand that, and it's a good question for the Shire, maybe their engineers on. I do understand that they looked at the road access and believe it was compliant. That bend is my understanding, it's right near the first bit. You probably won't get the speed up to get around that anyway, and that is something that we can also add to the construction management plan to ensure that people use low speed environments. And
you mentioned the undeveloped portion of the site.
Yes.
Do you agree that there'll be significant traffic and noise if that's subdivided into 12 or so lots, not only during construction, but during construction of the dwellings?
Yes, that's not part of this application at the moment.
I think it's worth mentioning.
Yes.
It's an issue that will arise eventually for the owners.
Yes, but also in a housing crisis that we do need additional housing, and if that's what happens.
I'm sure the argument will be made.
Yes, I'm sure it will.
Okay. All right, and the access off of Main Road, off of Great Eastern Highway?
We've been through this numerous times with Main Roads. We can't get access from that. It was closed originally for a reason, because the trucker wrecks to bed. Even with cars or trucks exiting out, they're sitting there waiting to see, and trucks coming down the hill have lost their brakes. It's just a safety issue. Main Roads will never allow us to get access out onto Great Eastern Highway.
All right. Any other questions of Mr. Reid at this stage? If not, as I foreshadowed earlier incorrectly, we'll now move over to the council staff. Initially to make comment on some of the issues that have been raised by the presenters, such as trees and access into the site.
Thank you, presiding member. From the Shire's perspective, the proposal is considered to be an important opportunity.
Sorry, I'm presuming we can't see you.
Mr. Bradley is
on your
the
left arm.
Yes, that.
Move and let us see. Thank you. Sorry, you are?
Yeah, Andrew Bradley.
Thank you for the live streaming, perhaps.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. The proposal was considered to be an important opportunity to provide improved aged care facilities within the Shire, which also maintains the heritage significance of the subject site. As outlined in the RAR, in terms of the building appearance and scale, it's considered to be consistent with the existing and future character of the area. A small portion of the building is slightly over height, but this is only by 60 centimetres. And there's a significant portion which is well below the maximum 10 metres stipulated under local planning scheme number 4 for the Shire. In terms of the concerns that have been raised, obviously the Shire has acknowledged them and has addressed them or responded to them in the RAR. Now, in terms of the TIA and the stages that are proposed, the Shire staff are supportive of those, particularly considering that it is only a temporary measure at this stage that vehicles use Wortley Road. and that in the long run, once all the construction and demolition works have been completed, the road access will be closed and continue to be from Coomgan Avenue. In terms of Shiraz Street, following on from what the applicant just mentioned, there is a difference in grade levels of approximately 1.5 metres. Therefore, if that was to be used even for temporary access, significant works would be required to raise the road to that level, and also it would result in the removal of several street trees. In terms of the landscaping on the site itself, Shire's environmental officers have been out there to have a look. Whilst it's acknowledged there are native trees on the site, which will be within close proximity to the proposed works, none are proposed to be directly impacted based upon the details provided by the applicant and their plans. And we're confident that this can be addressed through conditions. And likewise, in terms of noise as well, we're confident that it can be addressed through appropriate conditions if approved. In terms of the proposed amendments to the conditions raised by the applicant, these have been already discussed with Shire staff, and we're supportive of the changes that are being presented to the DAP panel members.
Thank you. Any questions of the staff? Councillor Matter?
Thank you. I do have a few questions again. One is to do with the risk of fire. Now, I've been on the panel on this panel for a while, and I've always seen bushfire plans have been submitted as part of a development. So do we have any written confirmation from DFIS that a bushfire plan, management plan is not necessary for this development?
Yeah. In terms of the subject site, it does not fall within a bushfire prone area based upon current DFIS mapping. Therefore, in terms of SPP 3.7 and the bushfire guidelines, no evacuation plan or bushfire management plan is required in this circumstance.
Yes, that is true. I did read that. However, there are some reserves surrounding the development. Would that not be cause for any concern?
From a bushfire perspective, again, because it's not in the bushfire prone area, there is no statutory obligation for the applicant to provide such documents, nor for the Shire to request them as part of the development application process.
Okay. Can I ask another question, please? We heard from some of the deputations, the community deputations, that there was concern with the traffic and the blind spots, and they talked about people walking on the roads because there were no footpaths. I'm not familiar with that particular road, but can staff confirm that there are no footpaths there for people to walk on?
That is correct. There are no footpaths in that street.
So the question I have is this, would we be able to ask for, and this might sound outrageous, is it possible to ask for that fund which is used for public art to be used instead of that for upgrading the road so that there are footpaths? Is that a possibility?
In terms of the in terms of the contribution, that's required as part of the council adopted public art local planning policy. So any contribution, financial contribution that's made would solely have to be used towards providing the public art and not towards providing any other form of infrastructure.
Okay, in that case, would you be comfortable if we placed in a condition asking for a footpath to be created along that road to mitigate any issues with regards to that traffic that community is concerned about?
I don't think the Shire would be comfortable with that because it's only for a part, stage 2 and stage 3, which is the construction and demolition, which is the shortest period. For that period of time. It's also a low-speed road, as one of the deputations advised, that all people travelling down that road haven't got a long length of road to travel. They're doing it around 30 kilometres an hour. I'm assuming and would suspect that any deliveries or staff working in the aged care system wouldn't have the excessive speeds as well over that length of road. And being a cul-de-sac, it is not a through road. So there is really nowhere for the path to go. That's normally footpaths are dealing with connectivity for pedestrians. So normally they're put in grid networks and locations like that that bring the community around to different locations and get people through streets. So in this instance, I don't think it would be a reasonable request to have them put a path in for the construction and demolition phases.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other panel members have questions? Yes, Member Page.
Yes, just a quick one in relation to, I think it's condition 3. Yep. So condition 3 in relation to public art. So the applicant has indicated that it's currently their intention to install art rather than pay the contribution, but I got the sense that that's not locked in stone yet. So in the event the applicant elects to pay a cash in lieu contribution rather than installing art on site, isn't it more appropriate to require payment of that contribution prior to occupancy rather than issue of a building permit?
Like either way, the Shire wouldn't have any concerns if it differs to the current wording. The condition is based on the council adopted policy, hence the reason why it is requiring it prior to a building permit. But if that wanted to amend the wording, as just mentioned, then we would have no issues with that.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions? I do have a question just in regard to the submission from Mr. White regarding the tree. Are you satisfied that that's a photo of that 100-year-old white gum tree is not part of the site that requires removal of that tree?
I haven't been out there myself, but based on the evidence and the photographs I've received from our environmental officers, that tree shown is believed not to be directly impacted by any of the proposed works.
Thank you. No, I'm sorry, I can't allow debate.
Can I say something, please?
No. Can I ask another question in regard to Shire Street? You mentioned that there was a significant level difference. Can that not be graded, aside from the removal of additional trees, which I'm sure would bring additional objections? Can there not be a graded ramp put into the site?
The current design of the end of street manoeuvrability is not a cul-de-sac head, which is a standard approach to give larger vehicles a chance to do 3-point turns, rubbish trucks to make the manoeuvres they need to. In that location, there are a number of trees already in the verge on the southern side of Shire Street that it had to be a redesigned hammerhead to be able to accommodate the 3 trees in the verge. So if we were to ramp up over a metre and a half to get in it, we will end up burying the growth collars of those 3 street trees, which means the trees don't have a very long life expectancy once they start having half their trunk covered in by the lifting of the road. Also inside, if we were to reduce the level inside rather than ramping the road, but ramp inside the property, there are a number of mature trees in that corner that have already been earmarked to be retained for the walkable path that's on that side of the facility once it's completed. So it's part of shade and coverage for the path network that they're putting internally. So whichever way we were to redesign the road for a temporary access, we would remove a number of trees either in the property or remove the trees that we've gone to some lengths to try and redesign the hammerhead to accommodate retaining them in the verge. So we're trying not to lose tree canopy in that location at present.
And could you give some comfort to the residents of Wortley that the construction management plan will have some appropriate signage for vehicles entering Wortley and leaving Wortley as part of the demolition and construction traffic, to reiterate that it is a suburban street, and for that to be particular for the delivery vehicles and the construction vehicles to take particular care in there?
I think as part of what we'd be doing with their construction plan would be to have a traffic management plan included as well. So there would be permanent signage at the entrance for Wortley of Shiraz to remind delivery vehicles, to remind the staff working there that it is a short road, there is a right hand bend on it, and that to keep to 30 kilometres an hour, so we can actually state the speed for them to use in that area. So that would be probably permanent signage that the construction company working in there could put in place, they would maintain, and it would be a standard approach for traffic management plans to include those details.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? No? Okay, thank you. Well, we've discussed the questions. We'll now move into discussion on the item. Do so. Mover and seconder. Do I have a mover to the application, the recommendation on Councillor Mehta? Do I have a seconder? Councillor Ellery. Okay. Councillor Mehta, speak to the item, please.
Thank you. Look, in supporting this application, I'm acknowledging that there is a need for aged care, not just within our Shire, but within the broader state as well as the country. But having said that, the reason for my supporting this is that I have read the RAR, which was very comprehensive. I have looked at the comments which have been made by community, and I've also listened to the deputations. But I have no concerns because I note that the site is zoned special use, and so its intended use is consistent with our own planning scheme. And further to that, the site has been used as a nursing home since the 1950s. It's not potentially being rezoned for any other purpose and other than a residence for the elderly. I noted that there were some concerns from community about it being a multi-story building, a double-story building. And yes, the area is predominantly where we have single-story buildings. However, the plan shows that the building in a very small portion will only be 60 centimeters higher, where the rest of it is going to be well below the maximum allowable limit under the Shire's LPS, the local planning scheme. I also note that the development has adequate setbacks. It will not result in overshadowing adjoining properties. There is landscaping proposed. With regards to the trees, I'm quite satisfied with their objective of retaining the significant trees and including as well the other tree, the eucalypt that we talked about during our conversation. I'm particularly pleased to note that the heritage building, Undercliff, which has just fallen into disrepair, is going to be upgraded sympathetically, I might add, so that it can be used to provide services to the residents, such as dining, games room, etc. So that's going to create a space for the people living there. I was very concerned listening to the deputations, as well as reading the comments on traffic, noise, but I'm pleased to note that condition and also the clarification from the developer that there will be steps taken to mitigate any impacts, including working with neighboring properties to make sure that there are systems in place to manage complaints or any other issues. And I look forward to that, to our staff, the Shire staff, ensuring that that construction management plan is adequate, does not just comply with legislation, but also takes into account the concerns that community have. I've noted that the current facility has reached the end of its useful life, so there is a need through legislation, the changes in Commonwealth government requirements. And so I am quite happy to support this application because it will improve the quality of life of those residents living there. And I think overall, it strengthens that aged care facility in the area. So for those reasons, I support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Beale, if you'd like to make your comments.
Yes, I support this as well. I wish to acknowledge the concerns of the residents and assure you that this is my ward and I know the area very well, drive past it nearly every day. So, and I did check the proximity rules because I do live within a couple of kilometres from this residential unit. So I did check that first. So I am very much aware of the traffic concerns, and I would not like to see an exit onto Great Eastern Highway because the amount of times that a truck ends up in that arrestor bed, it's if someone was to come out of there, it's a disaster waiting to happen. So I'm fully supportive of that. I trust the Shire will be very stringent in their assessment of the construction management plan to support particularly George with her family and the other residents so that they are impacted as little as possible. And besides that, the only other thing I have to say is that I feel like this is a missed opportunity to not double the number of beds, because as much as the management might say there is a no need or not, it's certainly not my experience as a resident, a councillor and state government worker. So that's not my experience. So I feel like it's a little bit of a missed opportunity. But having said that, I support this with those conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other panel member wish to speak to the item? Member Page.
Yes, thank you. I support the recommendation for approval, but I would like to move a few amendments before I talk to the substantive motion.
Okay, Amendment 1.
The first amendment would be to amend the last paragraph, condition 3, which relates to public art, to require any cash in lieu contribution to be made prior to occupancy rather than prior to lodgement of a building. I get a second on it, Murray.
Seconder for that? Yes, Councillor Beale.
Thank you. Look, the reason for this is making an application for a building permit certainly does create confidence that the development will proceed as approved, and it certainly seems Regis's intent that they're going to do this, but stuff happens. And so just getting a building permit or applying for a building permit is still not a guarantee the development will proceed. In my view, it is much more reasonable when you're seeking financial contributions from applicants to require those to be made prior to issue of an occupancy certificate rather than prior to a building permit. So that's the reason. It doesn't change the intent, it just changes the timing of that contribution. So that's the reason.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Beale, you wish to speak to it? No? Any other member wish to speak to? No. Right of reply? No. I'll put Amendment 1. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. Then the second amendment would be to amend condition 7 as requested by the applicant to delete the word on site. The condition would then read, all stormwater must be managed to prevent erosion and transportation of waterborne pollutants to the satisfaction of the Shire of Mundaring.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? It's Mr. Lee.
Thank you. So the reason for that, as set out by the applicant, it seems the Shire has agreed to the amended condition. The ground conditions as currently exist don't allow for fully on-site disposal. There is an existing connection to the southwest of the site that will need to be maintained, and the applicant will work with the Shire to achieve the appropriate level of detention and treatment wherever possible on the site, but it may be that some overflow discharge is likely.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lee is seconded. Are you wish to speak? No? Anyone else wish to speak to that? No? Okay, all those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you.
Thank you. Then I would seek to amend condition 9 to include the wording, including the significant eucalypt tree towards the end of the walking road at the end of the condition.
Me, do we have a seconder? Councillor Mehta.
Thank you. The reason for this amendment, in response to the issues raised by Mr. White and some other submitters, this condition will make it very clear that the significant tree raised as a concern by the submitters will be protected and retained as part of this development.
Thank you. Councillor Mehta?
No, thank you.
Okay, anyone else wish to speak to the item? Mr. Lee?
I think that eucalypt is in the space of the building. I looked on Google Maps or whatever. I think it's actually not the tree that you look down what Crescent. It's to the right. So I think it actually is in the
within the building footprint.
Yeah.
Site plan there should be on the site plan. There's one that's shown on the site plan.
I just want everyone to be aware that it's
not shown on the plan.
I think it might be shown but removed. I haven't had look at my phone because
raised.
I think you should. I think we should know what we're doing.
Yep. Thank you.
Do we have
Site plan?
the site plan? So that we.
Just give us a moment before that plan.
No, I think the photos that if you look, I think it's that.
I think we'd like to just suspend standing orders so that. Yes, do we have a mover to? Councillor? You're moving suspension of standing orders to review this. Second, we're just moving to suspend standing orders to, sorry?
Unanimous?
No, we haven't voted yet, just so that we can clarify the issue of the on site.
Actually, habitat tree.
All those in favour?
In that proposal.
Okay, it's unanimous.
I don't know. I want us to. I think it's that one, which is in the.
It's not here.
Proposing to the
talking about this.
Sorry, Mr. White, would you please sit down? We can't allow you to discuss with you. Okay. Do we have a definitive site plan that identifies that tree?
I think they're saying it's not doing site, it's down.
Hear that, and then we can scroll through. Just let us know which.
Well, either, sorry?
So is this the right that you want to see?
If you look how you get the view from the streets, which is they're difficult, it looks like it's the one in the middle of that spot, which is in the building. The one on the left near the brown roof.
It does say on the plan existing significant tree. However, it's also within the footprint of the proposed developments. Well, I think Mr. White, you've looked at the plan.
Yes, can I point out which tree it is?
Point it out on the side.
That one there. Yeah, and that's what it looks like.
And
well, according to, it's not on the site, it's not earmarked for removal.
no, but it says in that part B, item 3.1, page 9, no habitat trees are proposed to be removed as part of this proposal.
Well, that's correct. That's not proposed to be removed.
But it will, because it's in the middle of the building.
Sorry, you just pointed to one.
It is actually.
Yeah. And the building's got to be here.
Yep.
The building comes right over to here.
Okay, well, that's all right.
So
Well,
if that's correct, then we put the condition we were talking about. We're saying you got to change the building.
All right.
that's right. Well,
Yeah. So
other than the fact that it's been here. Okay, whilst it's been identified, the development is being moved for approval. We have to address the amendment proposed. Okay, well, we go back to reinstate standing. We will move to
I will move to resume standing orders.
resume standing orders. A second now. Councillor Beale, all in favour? Thank you. Okay. we're now
Back to
in
me.
debate.
Okay, given the information that has now been discussed, I will withdraw that amendment to condition.
Okay, that was amendment 3.
Yes. And instead, I will move to seeking an amendment to condition 12.
Sorry, does councillor Meta have to agree to that?
Yes.
A second to councillor Meta, do you agree to the removal of?
No. I can't see from the plan where exactly that tree is. Is that at the corner of the building or is it right in the center of the building?
If we can call up the footprint for the building.
I think there's a drawing. As I said, I haven't got it. I've only got the phone and it's gone off again. I think there's a drawing that shows the site with trees and
That tree is not shown on the plans. Anyway.
Councillor Mehta, I believe that tree is within the building of the footprint of the building.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So that is why I'm seeking to withdraw that amendment, not delete the condition, but withdraw the amendment that I was proposing.
Can there be an amendment? Would you be happy to amend your amendments to replant that tree? Because trees can be replanted.
I don't think those sorts of trees can be replanted, and without any advice, I don't think we could put a condition on that we don't know. There's no certainty to that condition. It would have to have an arborist's report to say it can be replanted, etc. So I don't think we can do that.
Well, if I could respond, I think Councillor Mehta, there will be a need for final agreement to the landscape plan. So if the Shire would like to discuss that with the applicant at that point. But it's not something that we would be able to deal with as part of this condition.
you could change the building.
Would I foreshadow an advice note, or am I allowed to do that, to say that would be an advice note?
Well, it's up to the mover, of course, if you want to put an advice note to. I mean, the end result is to keep the tree where it is requires either deferral of this to allow redevelopment to be redesigned or refusal of the development as it's currently proposed, because it needs to change the building plan. At this stage, there's been no objection to the, in fact, there's a recommendation, a mover and a seconder, to approve this development.
Well, I moved to approve it. I had not considered the significance of that tree until this amendment was suggested.
You could use you can move your own amendment to address the issue of the tree. In this case, at this stage, we need to, the mover has said that she withdraws that amendment.
All right, so how would I, at what stage would I be able to?
At any stage you can move an amendment.
Okay, so I second the removal of that, but I would like to move an amendment.
Okay, once the speaker on the primary, on the, yes, once Member Page has finished her discussion and reasons for her moving the item, you can do that. So amendment 3 has been withdrawn.
Thank you, presiding member. I will move then to look at another different amendment 3, and that is to amend condition 12 as requested by the applicant to include the wording unless otherwise agreed in writing by the Shire at that end of that condition. This would then be supported by an additional advice note that reads, in relation to condition 12, the applicant and the landowner are advised that the Shire will only grant access for specific maintenance and upkeep purposes.
Okay, thank you. Is there a seconder to that? I'll second it.
The reason for that is there will be a need for occasional access for maintenance, particularly for fire and landscaping purposes. So this just creates flexibility for the Shire to enable access at certain times.
Thank you, and I just concur with that. And I'm mindful that when the balance of the site is looked at for redevelopment or development, then that condition might fall away anyway. Okay, any other speaker to that amendment number 3? If not, I'll put that. All in favour? Unanimous, thank you.
Thank you, presiding member. I'll revert to the primary motion now. I'm happy to support it. We need to look at the planning merits of the proposal, and the development does meet the specific scheme requirements for special design area number 1. And it aligns with the key performance area of the Shire's council plan, albeit that's not a planning document. It does set the Shire's vision for future development of its local government area. There are no issues in relation to setbacks, overshadowing, visual privacy, and although there is a part of the building that exceeds the height requirements of the scheme, the exceedance is negligible and contained to a very small part of the building. The traffic impact statement provided with the application didn't identify any traffic or parking related issues, and the Shire is satisfied that the development won't have an adverse impact on the local street network during its ongoing operations. This is largely because there is only one additional unit being created through the development, so there is little to no intensification of the ongoing use being proposed. The heritage values of the site are being protected. And I note there were objections received to the proposal, but I'm satisfied that these are either issues that cannot reasonably be taken into account when we make our decision, or they are matters that have been covered off in the responsible authority report or via appropriate conditions of approval. Construction management seems to be a significant issue that has been dealt with today. And as alluded to earlier, construction management plans aren't usually developed at this point in the process. They are developed once a contractor is appointed, and as part of the building approval process. But I am hoping that given the conversation today, the issues raised by the residents, particularly about construction traffic, and raised by George and their concern about their familial circumstances, I will hope that the Shire will work very closely with this contractor to make sure that consideration is given to those neighbour circumstances. So on that basis, happy to support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Seconder wish to speak to the item? Oh, you were the seconder, sorry. Okay.
The third.
The third. Okay, any other members wish to speak? Okay, if not, I'll just simply say that I think that this development is quite a sensitive one in terms of its low scale of the buildings, and the use being ongoing is sort of respecting the locality through a replacement of like for like in that sense. The long-standing use on the site is minimal impact to the new development and marginal increase in the number of units. Parking and traffic impacts will be similar once the development is completed. It's acknowledged that some temporary intrusion into nearby streets to allow for access of demolition and construction will occur. Whilst it's considered unfortunate, it is unavoidable in any redevelopment or development. Even when your neighbour builds a house or does work next door, there's impact in terms of noise and movement of delivery vehicles, etc. I'm satisfied that the construction management plan and the presenters that have come through have highlighted the fact that there should be some significant and appreciable signage placed on site to alert the delivery vehicles to take or respect the application or the residents in the locality. So that being the case, I'm supporting the application as lodged and with the amendments. Councillor Meadow.
Sorry, am I able to at some point add some conversation about an advice note or an additional condition? You alluded that I could do it at any point. Am I allowed to do that?
Well, as mover, you can have a right of reply.
Okay.
Yes, so on the right of reply, you can sum up what we've said and also make any other amendment you wish.
Thank you.
Which is now.
Oh, thank you. All right. Look, in supporting this application, I have no hesitation in supporting it and hoping that we will vote to progress it to the next stage. But I would like to acknowledge that we have this issue of the tree, which has emerged. And so I would like to add an advice note, if I may, to say that prior to undertaking, prior to construction, or I'm not sure what the wording would be, so I would look to the officers to give me the wording, that an attempt is made to transplant that particular tree into an area within the site where it can be retained. So I don't know what the words for that would be, so I'm hoping that our officers can give that word to me. So that's the condition. Advice note. Sorry, advice note.
All right.
I think it's the gum tree, the significant gum tree or eucalyptus tree.
We'll need to identify where it is. So if I can go back to the staff and have to be.
Yeah.
Staff lifted. I hope not.
Sorry.
Council staff, you heard Councillor Mehta would like an advice note regarding, don't know, we can call it a significant gum tree highlighted in the submission, but you're satisfied you know exactly where that tree is?
Yes, based on the further discussions that have been had, yes.
Okay. Do you have a more crafted version of the amendment or the advice note, or would that satisfy you to highlight it?
I think considering it's an advice note, I think that's adequate.
Okay, and the wording?
Yeah, so
did you write that wording down, Councillor Mehta?
I just spoke it. That the significant that prior to commencing any construction, the applicant is required to replant the significant gum tree. I suppose, I'm not sure. No, replant. Yeah.
Perhaps we can
I might assist. I think before we put advice notes about doing things, perhaps the advice note should say, prior to issue of a building permit, the applicant is encouraged to liaise with the Shire about the viability of transplanting the significant gum.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, well, we've got that recorded, so it'll be done. So you're moving now. Do I have a seconder?
Please second this.
I'll put down Councillor Beale. Okay, so do you wish to discuss that any further, Councillor Mehta, or shall we go?
No, I think I've made my intent clear. Sorry.
Beale, do you want to say any more? I'll put it to a vote that we include this advice. Not all in favour? Thank you. That's it. So have you finished your right of reply?
I have, thank you.
Okay, well, I'll then put the recommendation for approval as with the 3 amendments. All those in favour? Carried. No, thank you. Advice notes in there. So, okay, thank you very much. Moving back to the agenda. Four, there are no Form 2 applications. Item 5, no SAT reconsideration. Part B of the agenda, other business. Item 1, SAT applications, Supreme Court appeals. They are listed, none for the Shire of Mundaring. Item 2, meeting closure, 11:35 a.m. Thank you, presenters, council staff, panel members, and our secretariat team. Thank you.
Thank you.